Hi Del. Just wait for a few more people to join and then I can add you on. Let's see.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, it worked.
Hooray.
Oh, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Did you have a nice Christmas?
I did. It was lovely. It feels like a while ago now.
Yeah, it's so long. We're already like midway through January. It's crazy, but
I know. How was
yeah.
your Christmas?
Yeah, it was lovely, thanks. Very chill. Lots of walks and Zoom calls and such. But yeah, it was really nice.
Good. Oh my gosh, it's so much easier. It's just really easy, isn't it, this? And we had
Yeah.
a nightmare before.
Oh, it was, yeah. I'm glad it wasn't just us, though, and it was like a whole Instagram problem. But
It was the world.
yeah. So thanks so much for joining us. So to give everyone watching a kind of background, this is Del, and she's a forest bathing practitioner at the Healing Forest Space. So do you want to start with just giving us a brief background about you and how you came into forest bathing?
Sure. I'm actually a forest therapy practitioner.
Oh, sorry.
No, fine.
I
So,
never know what the right terminology is.
yes, that's fine. Let me just
Forest therapy, yeah.
That's a bit better. So
Yeah.
I'm a forest therapy practitioner, which
Yeah.
is an additional training to being a forest bathing guide.
Yeah.
So I do both, although
Yeah.
therapy is quite new in this country.
Yeah.
So that's quite a new practice that's being developed.
Yeah.
But the forest bathing, how did I get into it? That was
Yeah. Kind of how, like, your background, like where you started, and then any courses and stuff
okay.
you took.
So the way I got into being a forest bathing guide was my own personal healing journey.
Yeah.
So I would say probably in the last, well, I went through quite a healing personal process about
Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago, and nature became my ally
Yeah.
and became a therapist in her own right. And I would spend a lot of time by the Thames actually, because at this time I was living in London. And then
Okay. Yeah.
up here, I'm living in Cumbria now.
Yeah.
Up here. When I came up here, I spent a lot of time with trees.
Yeah.
And I received a lot of respite and a lot of care. And I found that the woodland was a very safe space for me to release emotions.
Yeah.
And that very naturally. It wasn't something that was forced. So I always felt that the trees and the woods held me.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to be able to offer this to other people.
Yeah.
There's a really personal connection for me in terms of healing with nature because she was part of my own healing journey. And what happened was I didn't know anything about forest bathing or forest therapy. And one day it was kind of came into my path and I was like,
Yeah.
what's this? And I was like, what's this? And so I did some investigation, and then a year later, and then I left it, totally forgot it. My life changed quite a lot, and then it came back into my path, and I was like, I'm going to do it now.
Mm.
So I trained with the Forest Therapy Institute. At that time, they were the European Forest Therapy Institute, but they've now gone international.
Yeah.
And forest therapy, forest bathing has been around for about 10 years. So there's a big American organization which has really taken the practice out globally, but the actual practice originates in Japan.
Yeah.
Now becoming quite a worldwide wellness practice, but it also can go much deeper than a wellness practice, and it can be a very strong therapeutic tool or a therapeutic medium, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's fascinating because before, so Dell offers sessions at Armouthwaite Hall, which is one of our clients. And before that, I kind of heard about it, but I hadn't really delved into the world of forest bathing. And it's actually so fascinating, you know, the health benefits and just all of it combined it's really quite like amazing actually to
Oh,
if you like, I was reading about how what happens in the sessions and stuff, and it's so in depth. It's not just, you know, going into the woodlands, like you say. You have to really kind of spiritual. Yeah, that sounds great. So you've kind of touched on this as well. So how did the forest bathing sessions work for anyone who wants to kind of get into it or sign up?
I've just come in from being outside. I've got
Have you?
sorry. So what happens on a forest bathing session? First of all, forest bathing actually is translated from Shinrin Yoku.
Yeah.
And that's really the official term. And Shinrin Yoku means bathing your senses in the atmosphere of the forest. And that's what we're really doing when we go on a forest bathing session. So a session in itself lasts between 2 hours to 3 hours.
Yeah.
The reason it's a 2-hour window is because the research there that shows that cortisol levels drop in the blood.
Yeah.
So from beginning a 2-hour session, by the time you come out, your cortisol levels will have dropped, and people will notice that in the way that they're feeling. So they'll feel much more relaxed, more present, more awakened in their senses. So it's a sensory practice. It's a practice to get people out of their minds. And because it's guided, then you have a framework to really guide someone from their head and into their body and out into the surroundings. So over that 2 hours, there's a series of invitations that really are like a transition. An internal transition, but an external transition. So a forest bathing guide will design a walk.
Yeah.
Less of a walk, it's more of a being practice.
Yeah.
There are invitations that open up the senses. So the eyes, the sense of smell, taste and touch.
Yeah.
And just also communicating with others. So we come together in groups and we join in a circle. And the circle is the ancient way of coming together, that there is no hierarchy, that we are all equal.
Yeah.
And we all deserve to be listened to and respected. And so there'll be another invitation to share what you've experienced in that last invitation. And you don't have to share either. So sometimes people will say they'll pass.
Yeah.
You pass, say, stick around.
Yeah.
So the whole practice then lasts 2 to 2.5 hours. And that can have quite a profound effect on people. I do know I have regulars, and I have some people that have come once, but it's had such a profound effect on them. And it's changed their perception and the way that they are with nature. So it's really amplified their relationship with nature, and that's part of the practice as well. Like you say, it is a spiritual practice, but it's not really talked about in that sense because it's an accessible practice. So it has benefits physically, mentally, emotionally, but also spiritually. And my feeling is that actually we are, of course, innate natural beings. We are a part of nature. We are made up of the same minerals, the same composition, you know, and trees and nature are sentient beings, so we can communicate with them. We've lost that communication, but it's there.
Yeah.
And so that experience for somebody, when you guide them through this beautiful practice that is so accessible for people, they kind of come alive when they are connecting in this way that's very natural for them. And so in some ways it awakens the intuition in somebody, and it awakens them to a connection with something that's not seen, even then they're connecting with, say, a tree or a plant.
Yeah.
You know, it's multifaceted, and I find that particularly powerful and therapeutic. So people will express emotions. Some people might cry because we are being touched deeply.
Yeah.
And so it can be emotional, but that's positive and that's okay.
Yeah. So the type of people that come in, you said that people come in you know, lots of times people just come once. Do you have people that have come in and they've never done, say, a meditation, or is it people that already have that kind of level of, you know, meditation and like spirituality? Do you find that, or is it just completely new?
Yeah, I do find that actually. I'd say about 80% of people currently are in that kind of wellness world, and have tried many other sort of spiritual practices, I'd say.
Yeah.
Then you'll have other people that are maybe new to that, and that then opens them up.
Yeah.
And they're people that love nature.
Yeah.
There may be more naturalists, you know, they know the names of species of trees and plants,
Yeah.
and they're curious. And they really get a lot out of just being with nature. And I don't emphasize the spiritual element at all, because it's a practice where really the art is saying very little, so that people experience it how they're meant to.
Yeah.
So it's not about how I experience it or what my preconceptions are. It's about presenting, like handing over and guiding and keeping that very kind of minimal, but keeping a very safe framework, and allowing people to experience whatever it is, even if they're bored. That's okay.
Yeah.
Even if it's a bit edgy for them, because it can be.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, it is a sacred practice. It's a reconnection, and it's a renewal of something that is innate to us. And so I feel for me, it's such an honor. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I know all of the Spa PR team were like, oh, we need to do like a forest bathing set, like a group session. And
oh, do
yeah,
like all of that.
Yeah.
Or come up and get a cottage and I'll take you out.
Oh yeah, that sounds lovely. So obviously with lockdown, we're, you know, allowed out, I think it's once a day now for exercise. And have you noticed kind of a rise in inquiries in forest bathing since lockdown? Or
well, what happened was, because I only graduated or got my certificates in the forest bathing last November. So what I mean is November 2019.
Yeah.
And the forest therapy last year, because all this lockdown stuff really put things off kilter.
Yeah.
The last summer, I definitely saw a rise in interest, and groups got bigger. I'm not doing anything at the moment. I could as a forest therapy practitioner.
Yeah.
But I just feel that people are very wary. So I'm personally just letting things settle.
Yeah.
And focusing on when things have moved on. But yeah, there was a rise in interest. And what I also found was people were coming up here on holiday, you know, say in the summer, and wanted a session for a family, or would be joining group sessions. So yeah, there was interest, and I think that interest is going to continue.
Yeah. And what kind of groups are you seeing a pattern in, like the kind of inquiries in terms of the people? Are they kind of singles, families, or is it kind of a real mix?
It's a bit of a mix. I did a single session for somebody's birthday.
Yeah.
That's really lovely. So I tailored that to her birthday. And otherwise, it's mostly women.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. I would love to do group. I would like to work with men, but I feel it'd be positive to work with a man. And do that together, because men do get a lot out of it, but it's going against the way that men have been more programmed, I would say, as in what man is, and so. Because there's not so much doing, which is their natural way, or being, it's not maybe got that level of interest at the moment.
Yeah, and I guess it's quite vulnerable as well. to the
Yeah,
sharing circle. And yeah,
exactly. And I think that's why it's something I would like to do with men only groups,
yeah,
and to do that with a man. I would really like to do that. So it's
yeah,
mostly women, and actually a lot of older women. So they're
yeah,
the 60s. So I found that really interesting. Up here in Cumbria, there's not so many young women coming.
yeah.
Um, so I feel in the UK it's quite early stages.
Yeah,
When I
still
did,
quite specialist, I feel.
yeah, it's quite
Yeah,
specialist, but it is a bit like yoga was 20 or 25 years ago. I used to go to yoga, 25 years ago, and you wouldn't see, just hardly anyone went. It was
yeah,
this centre, and you'd have one other yoga centre. This was in London.
yeah.
Uh, and now look at the practice. So
Mm.
it's a bit like that. It's very in its infancy, even though it has actually been around a long time. So in Japan, the practice originated in the 80s in response to the increasing industrialization of the country and the level of stress people were under.
Yeah,
And so it originated there, but actually, really, it is an ancient practice.
yeah. And do you think that's because people don't necessarily like know how to kind of get into it, maybe, or with yoga you can kind of do it by yourself at home? Maybe people don't realize how you can do forest bathing in kind of the same way, or
I think people misunderstand the term
yeah,
bathing. It's not my favourite term.
yeah,
It's a bit confusing. I have had people say, "Oh, what? You go swimming in the forest?
yeah,
Take your clothes off," and you're like,
yeah,
so it's a bit of a funny term.
yeah,
So I think that confuses people.
yeah,
I also think that because it's so new, it just hasn't had that level of exposure.
yeah,
I think that people think that when they go for a walk, well, are we already doing it? Why would
yeah,
I pay to go and walk? And it's like, it's not a walk.
yeah,
There is walking involved, but there's much more to it.
yeah.
I also feel somebody, thank you so much for saying that about my voice. People say that a lot to me.
Yeah.
And I do other healing work with meditation. So thank you for saying that. So yeah, people don't realise there's a difference between contact and connection.
Yeah,
So when they're out running and walking and biking, especially up here in the Lake District, they're like, well, I'm in nature.
yeah,
But it's like, yeah, but are you connecting with nature? Are you stopping and touching a tree? Are you actually, sometimes it's like caressing a tree and there's
yeah,
tenderness. So you feel tenderness and you're noticing beauty. And I heard a beautiful quote by, I can't remember who it was from, but he said, beauty is a pathway to love.
yeah.
So it's so, I mean,
Yeah,
and that's what you can feel. People find it difficult to experience the feeling of love
yeah,
unless they think that that's to do with somebody else. It's
yeah,
not. Love is there all the time. So with the forest bathing, one of the pathways is beauty, and the beauty opens up the feeling of love
yeah,
and the feeling of oneness and wonder and awe, and they are quite transcendental experiences for a human. And
yeah,
so you won't get that when you're whizzing around on a bike or a hike. You get other benefits.
yeah,
So of course that kind of depth isn't maybe appreciated or understood at the moment, and it's not until you go that you're like, oh wow. And
mm.
it can blow people's mind. I had a beautiful family come up, and there was 5 of us and there were 3 older young people, so early 20s, late teens, and it was so beautiful. One man and 2 young women, and what they were experiencing and seeing and feeling, and it was just so beautiful. And I just thought, oh, I'd love all young people to experience this.
Yeah,
and they were connecting so much with their surroundings.
Yeah.
So it's a few things I think that people misunderstand, are not connected to in themselves, and that are maybe some barriers.
Yeah, and I guess it's depends on kind of where people are from as well. Like you say, you're in Cumbria, so there's lots of like nature around. But whereas I'm in London, luckily I'm on like the suburbs of London, but kind of big, massive green areas are quite hard to come by. So what would you say for any tips of people to try and find a space in their local area to like kind of replicate the sessions you do? What would you say?
Okay, well, first of all, there are forest bathing guides in London.
Yeah.
And I know that they are popular sessions for that reason, because Londoners are kind of starved of it, so they want it.
Yeah.
That's the irony. And they do work in parks. So then anyone who's watching or watching later, you know, you can go and look for forest bathing guides in your local area.
Yeah.
To create your own practice, I have a guide that people are very welcome to download. That's via my site.
Yeah.
But just some general guidelines are, number one is to create a pocket of time. So to say, right, I'm going to go out for 30 minutes. I'm going to find a spot. I'm going to find a spot in nature that's easy to get to. So it could be in your park. So you know it's there, you know it's accessible. You get to the spot, and say a park, and you look around and you allow a tree to call you. So it's an attraction point, and that attraction point can change. So different trees for different times.
Yeah.
You can sit with that tree. So you take something to sit on, you take some water, you take something to keep warm, and you can keep a journal. You switch your phone off or put it on silent.
Yeah.
That's a skill in itself.
That's everyone's main issue at the moment.
That's
their phones,
isn't it? Or you leave your phone at home.
Yeah.
And you take a watch, and you then sit under that tree, say for half an hour.
Yeah.
And in that time, you're focusing on your surroundings. So you're looking around. So you could give yourself prompts. So for the focus of this session, what do I see? For the focus of this session, what do I smell? For the focus of this session, what am I touching? For the focus of this session, I'm going to draw 3 living beings. For the focus of this session, I'm going to just sit with the tree and see if the tree has something to tell me.
Yeah.
So it's really about being. And that is a practice when you're on your own.
Yeah.
Because it's the practice is about coming out of the mind into the body, into your environment.
Yeah. And we did have a question. So if you don't live near a forest, can you still feel the benefits of forest bathing by connecting with other areas of nature? I live near a big lake, for example.
Yeah, of course. Because although this is focused on forest bathing, part of the forest bathing walk experience is to actually connect with water.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky to have that at Grisdale Forest with a beautiful tarn. Otherwise we can see water in the distance. So, you know, if you're by an ocean, if you're by a lake, a river, it's a nature connection. So there may be differences in your experiences. So the connection with water is really staring into the water.
Yeah.
And beginning to feel the water in your body, like the flow of the water, and you can even move like the water.
Yeah.
And you can also put messages into the water, and the water carries messages. And the water is reflective of the emotional body, so the water can still the body very much.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Del. So where can people kind of find out more about you? You mentioned your website as well.
Yeah, my website is The Healing Forest, full stop space.
Yeah, and we'll have this chat as well uploaded onto our grid post, and we'll like tag you all of your handles as well.
Thank you so much.
That was all of the questions. Oh, someone said, I like the idea of putting messages into the water.
Yeah, it is. It's, and if you're by running water,
yeah,
you can basically put the message into the water and it will go to somebody.
Yeah.
So you can either release your feelings, your messages in the water, or if you want to give somebody a message, you can do. And that's taken through the water.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
So lovely talking to you. Yeah, I feel so relaxed now. And
oh, good. Good.
Yeah, I'll definitely be going to. I live near Richmond Park, which is a massive park, and so I'll go at the weekend and yeah, see what I discover. Yeah.
There is a woman that does do forest bathing at Richmond Park.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you did a search for forest bathing in Richmond. I'm sure she'll come up.
Amazing.
Oh, I can't remember. Off the top of my head, I can't quite remember her name. But I'll put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Deborah,
well, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yeah. Have a lovely day. And thanks everyone so much for watching.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Right. Bye.
Bye.